In these uncertain economic times, it's easy to be worried about protecting your wealth, your hard-earned savings, and your family's financial future. Plunging interest rates, the devaluating dollar, and political unrest constantly threaten what you have worked hard to earn and all that you own. That's why now it's more important than ever to protect your assets and have the money you need to make your dreams come true. Welcome to the Global Wealth Fortress Report with successful global entrepreneur and wealth preservation expert Joel Nagel. Joel's helped thousands of people just like you protect what you have so that you can make even more and make your every dream come true. So, sit back and enjoy Joel Nagel's offshore expert advice on how you can live the good life at a great price, where the sun never sets on your financial fortress.
Hello. This is Carol Carter-Clues, and welcome to Joel Nagel's Global Wealth Fortress Report. Very, very important topic today. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say it's a vital topic, okay? Joel Nagel's President's Week 26 Financial Conference. You may have, if you get the Escape Artist magazine, you saw it referred to as electrifying financial event of the year. I'm going to go as far as to say, folks, if you go to it, you're going to find it's a pivotal financial event in a very critical year. Joel, let's talk President's Week 26. How you doing?
Good morning, Carter. I'm doing well. Good to see you and be with you.
And you are over there in Vienna?
Yes,
excellent.
In my study, we're actually still moving, so it's a little bit helter-skelter at the moment, but we are very happy in the apartment we have. Vienna's always ranked as one of the top cities in the world, and we really enjoy. I don't spend all my time here, obviously, because I'm spent a lot of time in the States and in Central America, but I like spending as much time as possible. And fall is just a great time. The summer winds down. Everybody gears up for Oktoberfest, and we get some great leaf action here, and the crowds start to slow down a little bit, and we really enjoy it here. We've actually had our President's Week conference here about 5 years ago, and we had it at really one of the top hotels. Lamborghini was one of our sponsors that year, and they parked two unbelievable sports cars right in front of the hotel doors, so everybody going in and out of the hotel had to walk between these two cars, so that was pretty exciting. But it is a great event, if I do say so myself, and we usually do it literally in November, right after the elections. So it's the first opportunity to really talk about what, if any, changes are going to happen. Obviously it depends on the results of the election. You can imagine that you have a different agenda if the Republicans take both houses, a different one if it's split, and a different one again if it ends up all being Democratic. So, we're all business people. We're looking at business, we're looking at asset protection, we're looking at investments, things like that. But you have to view everything through the lens of what's happening in the world. Whether it's politics, whether it's war, whether it's COVID, whatever it is, and that's really what we try to do. We try to we've more or less fashioned President's Week as a mini Davos, if you will, except it's mostly conservative libertarian folks who are looking at the world through that world lens and trying to figure out what they need to do with their business, with themselves, with their families. We really run the gamut of speakers, and this year's no exception. We have over 20 really top-notch, world-class speakers. They're going to be joining us in Vegas, coming in from all over the world. I tell people, look, you take you a half year to get on a plane and go around and visit all these people. They're coming from Singapore and Switzerland and Belize and what have you. But come to our event for 4 days, and you can pretty much get the meet all the people that you need to meet. It's really my A team list. I really invite. I get the privilege of inviting the speakers, so I try to make sure that they're people that our audience really wants to listen to, that will get something out of, and it'll benefit them in some way. And that's really the aim of the game. If you don't benefit from going, then why spend your time?
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you brought up the speakers, because you had a terrific article in the Insiders magazine, Escape Artists. You know, folks, go subscribe to the magazine. It's worth the $79 a year just for this article. Let me refer to you. You mentioned speakers, and I was blown away by your passage where you talked about them. You say some of my favorite speakers of all time, folks. This is the A-list. The name's going to read. I'm going to read to you. I know those of you who know international affairs are going to say, "Wow, okay, this is the A-list." You say some of my favorite speakers have of all time include Porter Stansberry. You can't. Jim Rickards. I mean, these are two guys who, you know, you want to know. They define the future. They not only analyze the present, they define the future. You had Ed Griffin, who wrote what I think is one of the pivotal books of all time, the 20th century, Creature from Jekyll Island. Dr. Jack Wheeler, Erica Gemma, who is, as you say in your piece here, is the queen of Bitcoin. Ron Paul. I mean, Mark Skousen, the top hard money economist, I think in the world. That's pretty high caliber, Joel. That's pretty high caliber.
Yeah, and we try to mix it up every year and you know, have different speakers, because we do get people that come religiously every year. So, you know, we don't want to just, you know, give them the same speakers. They usually have to listen to me every year, but we do try to move and bring in different speakers. And even for myself and some of the speakers who speak every year, we make sure we're, you know, really engaging on different topics. But yeah, you mentioned some of the all-time greats. Another one of my favorites, Harry Brown. I mean, he's just, you couldn't meet a better guy. Unfortunately, he's passed on now, but he was our keynote speaker 3 times. He holds that distinction as being the person who has been keynote speaker the most at our event. So we really try to bring top-notch people from all different walks of life. So, you know, we have people there from the banking sector, the legal sector, the tax sector, the insurance sector, the real estate sector. You know, you mentioned Bitcoin. We have investments, people from traditional investments, people from non-traditional investments, people who focus on IRA and 401k type, you know, deferred investment programs. We have people talking about second passports, second citizenships, estate planning. You know, I could literally just sit here and keep going on and on and on. And everything doesn't have to be for everyone. You know, we're trying to make a broad spectrum of speakers talking about different international offshore topics. So we really see ourselves as being really the foremost event dealing with all things offshore, right? You're not going to come and hear about, you know, something vanilla you're going to hear in your hometown from your, you know, from your Charles Schwab financial advisor. It's not like that. It's most people that come for the first time, they say it's like extremely eye-opening, and they learn about topics they never even knew existed. So when I hear comments like that, it always really makes me happy. But at the end of the day, we're really trying to help you, the attendee, to get something out of it, to learn something, not just to learn something from an academic perspective, but also to take action. And we keep the event purposely very, very small. We only take 50 attendees.
50 people, very exclusive.
We know we're going to fill up every year. And the reason we do that is because if you hear somebody say something, you know, at the podium that really interests you or impacts you, or you want to follow up on, you know, we want you to be able to have the time at a cocktail party or lunch or dinner or a coffee break, or, hey, can I meet with you one-on-one, you know, in the morning before breakfast, whatever it is. We want you to have that interaction with the speakers, and the speakers they really enjoy that as well. I hear that all the time from the speakers. They're like, wow, you have great audience, very knowledgeable people, and the questions they ask are great. They're very engaging. So, you know, that's really what we try to do once a year. It takes all year to put the event on, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, even by the time the event's coming to a close, we're already laying out the dates for the next year, and we're already talking about, you know, keynote speakers and things like that. So it's I know that, you know, we have some spots both for Escape Artists and also for Offshore Club, and, you know, we'll be very happy to have, you know, some of the viewers here join us.
Joel, I have already written 2 or 3 emails to Offshore Club members saying, folks, grab a seat and do it quick because they're going to fill up. Now, let me point out something, reiterate what you just said. that I think is really key. This is not an event where a speaker comes up on the stage and once he walks off the stage, you never see him again. It's not one of those Elvis has left the building type situations. These speakers, and they are top caliber, stay and hobnob with the people, with the attendees, which is just unheard of in any conference I've attended, Joel.
And many of the speakers tell me, they'll come and hang out either for the whole conference or for 2-3 days. I mean, last year our keynote speaker was Ron Paul. He was supposed to be there for 4 hours. He stayed 2.5 days, and
Wow.
He really enjoyed it. He was happy to be sitting in the audience learning from from our speakers. But to use Ron as an example, a couple weeks before our event, he had his own big national event that he does once a year in DC, 3,000 attendees. And if you paid a ridiculous amount of money, you were in a VIP and you got to go to a cocktail party. Maybe you got to shake his hand or have a picture taken with him. But for the other 2,950, they didn't even get that. But
No.
He came to my event. He sat down with every single person. He gave everybody a copy of his latest book. He autographed it for them. He chatted with them. I had the privilege of having a breakfast with them one morning. We met an hour before the event started so we could sit and chat one-on-one, and he was just absolutely delightful. It turns out he was in medical school at the University of Pittsburgh the same time my wife's parents were there. So, we were just chit-chatting about this, that, and everything, but it was just fascinating. And, I had a number of, even his one assistant who was with him said, the people at his own event don't get this kind of access. So, again, he was there 2.5 days. He just hung out with people, and that happens frequently. Jim Rickards, when he came, he spent the whole conference. Porter, when he comes, he's there for the whole conference. Why? His remarks are just like everyone else's. They're 45 minutes. He could come, speak, leave.
Right.
But he comes, speaks. He wants to get to know the other attendees. And, I'll look up from the podium when I'm speaking or somebody else is speaking, and there he is sitting in the audience. And that's the big thing about President's Week. It's really a conference really of colleagues, of equals, of, there's not this big distinction between the speakers who are up on the stage, kind of speaking down, to the rest of us. We're all kind of in a room together, and somebody has the limelight for 45 minutes or whatever to share their expertise. But that same person sharing their expertise for the next guy, wants to learn and wants to, be an attendee. So we don't really make I mean, we do have speakers and we do have attendees, but when people are in the room, we don't really make any distinction. And I think that's something else that I really enjoy about this particular event.
Well, I think I want to say something about Jim Rickards. I read his emails. I get emails from him all the time. He is former CIA analyst, a brilliant man. And I'm telling you, I've been following Jim for, I guess, 5 or 6 years. When he gives his prognosis, I have yet to see him wrong about what's going to happen. And what he's saying now is pretty critical. Now, you do have one guest coming, and I want to talk about attendees after I have this brief interlude here, if you don't mind. You have one guest coming. I got an email from you about the other day that we need equal time. Franco Harris. Frank, look, I knew you when you started laughing. I knew you knew what I was going to say. I'm from Baltimore. We do not like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Franco Harris, for God's sake, I wish Johnny Unitas was still alive so we could get equal time, Joel. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, Franco has been a good friend of mine for a number of years. We served on a board together, and he's a very, very gracious man. This happens to be the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, when the Steelers, when time expired, beat the Oakland Raiders in the playoffs, going back in 1972. In fact, they're going to retire Franco's number this year on December 24th at one of the last home games of the season at I want to say Heinz Field, but I know that's not right anymore. It's Acrisure Stadium. Anyways, Franco is not only a Hall of Fame great running back, but he's also a very successful businessman, and that's the part I think is very interesting for our attendees. And Chuck Noll used to say that, football was, a great thing to do for a little bit, but the most important thing football did was it prepared you for the rest of your life. And here's a guy who's been, out of football for over 40 years, and he's had a very, very successful life. And again, the same thing, he's going to maybe share a war story or two with us, but, the rest of the time he'll be sitting in the audience like everybody else, because he's there to also learn and see how, can benefit him, his business, his family. And that, again, that's the great thing about President's Week. Yeah, we're really, really happy that he agreed to come. And I think he has to cut out a day early, but most of the events will be there.
Well, I know he has an incredible business background now, but you can imagine, as a kid from Baltimore, Franco Harris was almost like a cuss word. Just unbelievable. So
one of my very good clients who've become good friends with over the years is, he grew up an Oakland Raiders fan, and of course the immaculate reception was against the Raiders, and he even has a harsher comment, and he'll talk to, he's blue in the face about how it was an illegal play, and
that's right. The ball was tipped. The ball was tipped by a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's our position. Yeah.
And if there was all the cameras on the field then, like there are now, who knows if it would have stood or not. Can you imagine the immaculate reception called back, by a review?
By a red flag review. All right, the attendees, the speakers are absolutely the creme de la creme, but I'm also impressed by the attendees. I mean, you say here in your article in Insiders Magazine, tech moguls, hedge fund managers, currency traders, Fortune 500 executives, presidents of major companies, best-selling authors. So if you don't mind, talk a little about that, because folks, when you come to this event, I have a feeling you're going to make friends and confidants for life. So how about the attendees?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always amazed at the caliber of our attendees, and I've even had other speakers tell me, "Wow, I learned as much from the attendees as that I hope that I was able to, share with them," because they are brilliant people that come from, all different walks of life. I mean, first of all, you have to be pretty bright and successful to come to President's Week. One, to recognize how important it is, because
yes,
most of us, are like the frog in the pot, and we're, the water is slowly heating up, and you don't notice that pretty soon you're being boiled alive, and so you have to have a certain bit of ability to kind of understand and feel like what's happening in the world, and then figure out, okay, what are options that I have, and you don't see many options in mainstream media. The things we talk about, you're not going to see on cable television, you're not going to read in the Wall Street Journal, but everything is extremely well vetted, very legal, very actually quite conservative. We're not out there to try to get people into hot water, but we are trying to help them protect, preserve, and pass on their wealth, and that means insulating it from potential plaintiffs who might sue you. It means being as efficient as possible from a tax perspective, taking advantage of rules and laws that are in place, like the lifetime exemption from gift and estate tax, and how you can use that to shift assets to your children and grandchildren without losing half the money to the government. I mean, those are the kinds of things that we're talking about. So the attendees that come are savvy enough to understand that's important. And look, time's precious for everyone, right?
Right.
And these people are some of the busiest people that you're ever going to meet. So if they say, okay, it's worth carving out 4 days. Some of them don't even stay the whole time. Some say 3 or 2, they come in, but they make the commitment to be there because they recognize how beneficial it is for them. And honestly, I've never, ever finished a conference and talked to an attendee who said, "Oh, hum-ho, it was okay. I didn't really get anything out of it." And I've spoken at many, many other conferences, and I'm not trying to throw any conference organizers under the bus, but they're organizations that they're in the business of creating conferences. my law firm is not in the business of creating conferences. In fact, it's a lot of work. And sometimes, you scratch your head and say, is it really worth it? But the reality is we're trying to create something unique and special, from the venue, the interaction. I've never been at conferences where you have so much interaction between the speakers and attendees. I mean, you have breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee breaks, cocktail parties. People go out after and, drink cognac, smoke cigars, whatever they want to do. I mean, we bring interesting people into close proximity with each other, and amazing, good, organic things happen beyond just the program itself. So you have to recognize that, hey, this is valuable. It's worth taking time off. It's worth the cost to go there. And then, if you do take one, I mean, you don't even have to take 10 action items. If you take one action item from what you learn about at the event, it'll be well worth it. So, we have people, honestly, they want to know as soon as the conference is over, when's the conference next year? They want to sign up because they're worried about, before COVID, we literally sold out every year. The last 2 years during COVID, we didn't, and we offered a streaming option. This year, we're not offering a streaming option. We're going back to in person. I'm very confident that we'll sell out. I think I just checked the other day, and there's maybe 15 or 20 spots open, but they will be gone in the next 2 weeks or so, is my guess.
And that's critical, folks. You've got to get in contact. What is the best way for somebody to sign up? Because, folks, it's going to sell out. It's going to sell out quick. It's only, I think, $2,900, right? 4 days, November 12th to 16th, $2,900. You couldn't speak to one of these, the caliber of this speaker. You couldn't get an hour from any one of them for $2,900. You're going to be there with them 4 days. What's the best way to sign up, Joel?
Well, I think there's multiple ways that they can reach out and say that they're interested. They have to get an invitation because it is by invitation only, but they can reach out to you through the Offshore Club. They can contact my law firm. You mentioned the Escape Artist magazine. I think there's through there's a mechanism for people who want to get more information. And if you reach out to any of us, we'll put more information, list of speakers and topics in your hand, and registration materials. And we hope we'll get a chance to break some bread together. And I heard a rumor that we might be having a celebrity MC. Is there any truth to that?
A celebrity MC. I think there's a lot of truth to that. A top celebrity MC. Yes.
We're very happy about that. So I look forward. You can meet with me, but also you can meet with Carter, because he is our celebrity MC this year.
So there we go, folks. And honest to God, I'm already having Offshore Club members call me and say, and you're going to be there, right? And I tell them, absolutely. I would not miss it. I think I want to go back. I know we're running out of time, but I want to go back, Joel. We are facing, I think a lot of people are saying, well, when the red wave occurs in November, everything is going to change. It's not going to change. We are facing economic cataclysm. The S&P is going to continue to plummet, Joel. The inflation, it went up. The latest report last month, up again after they've told us over and over, oh, it's peaked, it's good. So I think, Joel, what you've put together here, for anybody who values their assets, they just can't afford to miss it. I believe that.
Our country and our economy is like this giant battleship, and you can tweak it a little bit. You can turn it a little bit, but if the red wave that you say happens, it'll cause gridlock in Washington, and some people think that's a good thing. But there'll still be plenty of room for President Biden to manage things through executive orders, which other presidents have had to do, and other things like inflation. It's not going to just go away if there's a red wave. You have wars going on, people worried about COVID coming back again and disrupting supply chains. All these things have an impact, and so, in an ideal world, you would gather all the brain power you could, and you'd sit down in a room and say, how do we fix it? Right. But we don't have that. We don't have that option. So we say, this is the world the way it is. So let's gather all the brain power and sit down in the room and say, okay, how can we benefit from it? How do we protect ourselves? How do we insulate ourselves from things like inflation? And that's the way the dialogue goes. It's Look, I hope that we'll get real leaders who will really target these and solve these problems. But I really don't see anybody on either side who really
No.
understands economics. You mentioned some of the great economists we've had over the years. People like that aren't in charge. So it's like, the blind leading the blind in terms of trying to solve the problems at the national level. So we say, okay, let's try to solve them at the individual level. And that's why I think that's really why people come to President's Week. They have their own agenda. Everybody's agenda is a little bit different. Maybe it's a second passport. Maybe it's an offshore trust. Maybe it's, investing in non-dollar denominated assets, or, a less expensive lifestyle in Nicaragua, or whatever it is. That's what attracts people. And they get to meet the entrepreneurs, the professionals who are making these things happen every day. And they can decide, is this right for me or isn't it? There's no hard sales. Nobody's up there trying to sell you anything. You come, you listen. If you like a particular service or investment or real estate opportunity, it's up to you to go back to that individual and say, hey, can we grab a cup of coffee? I'd like to learn more and chat.
Excellent.
But nobody's like saying, boom, 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 you got to buy this, you got to buy that. It's not like that at President's Week.
It's fantastic. Joel, thank you. Thank you for covering this for us. I can't wait. It's vital. It's vital. And thank you for putting it together for 26 years in a row now.
Great. Yeah. God willing to do 26 more, we'll see. But look forward to, I know we'll be on a few times between now and then, but I look forward to seeing you out in the desert.
It's fantastic. All right, Joel, thank you very much. Folks, there you go. There you have it. President's Week 26. I'm urging you, do not miss this. Do not miss this. Remember, I showed you they're saying it's an electrifying financial event. I think it's a pivotal financial event. So as I tell you every week, let's do this thing.